My next review of the day is going to be for the film Crime 101. Crime 101 is a movie directed by Bart Layton. Bart Layton, who's done such movies as American Animals there and also The Imposter. Now, I hear really great things about American Animals. I have not seen that movie, but I hear really good things about it. And in this movie here, Crime 101, his latest film here, it's starring Chris Hemsworth, Halle Berry, Mark Ruffalo, Barry Keoghan there. Um, and you have Chris Hemsworth here, who's a thief there, mostly like a jewel thief, cash thief there. Very professional guy. You know what I mean? You know, he executes everything to a T, you know, dots the I's, crosses the T's there. He plans out the whole heist down to the letter of like, you know, this is what this is going to happen. This is what the camera's going to be. This is what this guy's going to be. Okay, I'm going to intercept them here. Like he's very methodical, very precise, you know, everything. Very, very super professional guy. And then of course, like most of these stories go, you know, he meets somebody. He has a love interest in this movie there, who is played by, let me see if I can pull up her name real quick here, make sure I got it right. There, I'll pull up her name. But yeah, he meets a woman there. It's the woman from Top Gun Maverick, that he meets and ends up meeting her and then goes like, oh, hey, how's it going there? Text to Joshua there. And he says, hey, Josh, I did see Crime 101. I plan to review it here or pre-recorded, but it was a solid thriller. Just having to try to edit other videos I did reviews for on here. Oh, great news, man. I'd love to hear what you think about Crime 101 there. Thank you for stopping by. Yeah, so Monica Barbaro there, who she was also in Complete Unknown. That's her right there in the trailer. Yeah, Complete Unknown, Top Gun Maverick, and then like I said, finds a love interest in this movie and goes like, okay, maybe I want to do one final score to get out of the game. There's always that one final score I'm gonna make this big job, and then that's it, I'm gonna get out. And the big job here in question is this. So you have a guy who's Tate Donovan in this, who, you know, he's a very, very rich guy. Thank you, Epitaxia Joshua. Thanks a lot, man, for the assist there. And a guy there who's Tate Donovan, who's this really, really wealthy guy. He's getting married. And then Halle Berry, who works for an insurance agency there. She's an insurance broker. She, you know, is the one that's trying to manage this deal with him, get the wedding insured for. And this is going to cost a lot of money, right? Because he's going to have all these rich, wealthy guests come over and he's going to gift them diamonds. So not only do you have the diamonds, but also they have to be insured, but also the cash as well there. So he can make a big score off of this. He's like, okay, I know where the cash is going to be. I know where the diamonds are going to be. I can get all that. And finally, that's it. But you know, there's always challenges with that. Of course, there's always with movies like this, when a criminal talks about like, "Hey, I'm going to do one last job and I'm going to do one last score." There, that always comes with a challenge. Now, this is based on, like you saw in the trailer, a novel, Don Winslow. There, a novella by him. There. Now, I have not read that novella, so I don't know how much of difference there is between the novella and the film. And like I said, the setup of this movie is going to feel very familiar to you, very similar to other crime type heist movies there. Most notably, people might looking at this movie kind of go like, well, it kind of reminds me of another big one, Heat, which was the Michael Mann movie here, which Heat obviously is like the pinnacle of this genre when it comes to heist, you know, kind of movies there. That's kind of the big pinnacle of this genre. Also a little bit something like The Town, maybe you'll go that, which is another big one, heist film. In that would though, in movies like Heat and The Town, you have it where those characters usually work in a group, in a team, where Chris Hemsworth works mostly solo. He does have a kind of a mentor slash kind of boss in a sense, a guy that he works with when doing these different jobs and planning these heists. In I think they're in Beverly Hills. Also, this is a set in California, so it's in Los Angeles. Where it's played by Nick Nolte, who honestly, Nick Nolte, you know, appreciate him still doing movies. I needed a little bit of subtitles. I think it was kind of tough to understand him a little bit. Sometimes throughout this movie, you know, he's got a very gravelly voice, and it was kind of a little tough to understand him at a lot of points. But Yeah, so he works with him and trying to set these things up, planning the scores and everything like that, putting the fences there and everything. Um, and then another person that Nick Nolte works with is Barry Keoghan, who Barry Keoghan is the exact opposite of the Mark Ruffalo character. I mean, of the Chris Hemsworth character, where Chris Hemsworth is professional, clean, get in and out. He doesn't want to cause any injuries. He doesn't want to kill anybody, hurt anybody. He just wants to leave with as minimal damage as possible. Barry Keoghan's the exact opposite. Barry Keoghan is violent. He's psychotic. He's twitchy. He's messy, sloppy. We see like him do one of his acts there of him doing a heist and how like in stark contrast it is to when Chris Hemsworth does it. So you see like, okay, yeah, this guy is incredibly dangerous there. And incredibly, incredibly dangerous. So yeah, so you see that. But like with the tropes of it, you have the love interest, like I said, with the Monica Barbo character that always comes in where it's making the thief or the criminal rethink his life and go like, maybe I want to settle down. And then I mean, I like her as an actress, but I think she's barely even really much of a character here, really. And then she's gone for a good chunk of the third act where I almost forgot she was even in the movie. Um, then you have Mark Ruffalo's character who, besides for usually he's the detective that's hunting down Chris Hemsworth's character. He's to him, Chris Hemsworth's character is his white whale. He's the guy that, it's like, okay, I notice all these different strings of crimes going on, and I think it's committed by one guy, and he calls him the 101 kind of thief there because that's where the movie kind of gets its title from, Crime 101, because he's like this guy always takes he believes he takes the 101 interstate there on the Los Angeles highway. So that's how he kind of gets that's kind of the story behind the title of the movie. And like his character is very like disheveled, his character is very kind of sloppy a little bit, and like way he puts on his clothes, his kind of hair a little bit at times. And then usually they'll make that character an alcoholic, but they don't make him an alcoholic in this. But he always has a bad marriage. And then they have where, that is the case here with Jennifer Jason Leigh, who we see a bit of. She's only in like 2 scenes of the movie, where we see that, he's going through a divorce with his wife. So you see that here. So yeah, so that's a very, conventionally kind of character that, he believes he's right. He wants to stick up. He's like, no, I believe these are connected and I'm right and you're wrong. And it goes against all what his bosses think and what his other colleagues think and everything like that. So you see that in the movie. So my big thing about this movie is that it executes. I mean, it's a fine movie. Yes, it has all those very familiar tropes, but I'm not too concerned about the tropes of the movie because I'm like, well, you can do tropes and it can still be entertaining. Um, you can do the tropes and execute them to a degree where you don't care about it. And I don't think this movie really does that to a degree. Like, there's no point in this movie where I'm like, whoa, wow. I mean, that was just done so incredibly well. Like, there isn't really anything super impressive or wowing about this movie that I go like, wow, okay, yes, definitely, like, check this movie out. A cool crime heist film. Like, okay, this is a great addition to the genre. It's just kind of fine. You know what I mean? It's just decent. There's nothing really spectacular here. There's nothing really, like I said, wowing about this. The performances are good. They're fine. I think they're solid. Everybody does their job, adequately. Chris Hemsworth isn't typically playing like a Chris Hemsworth guy. I mean, he's not super, he's kind of awkward in a sense of the way he kind of interacts with people. He's very good at his job. And when he's doing his job, he's excellent at that. And he's, laser focused on that. But then all the other stuff like actual human connections, I think that's just something he's not very good at. So I thought that was kind of good, the way they kind of play those things out in the movie. And it's a little bit of a difference than I've seen what Chris Hemsworth has played before. Halle Berry in it, who's the one that's working with Chris Hemsworth to pull off this big heist. She feels she's a disgruntled person working at this insurance broker company, somebody that's disrespected because she's like, she's a woman in this mostly male dominated field. And she's like, okay, I've been promised this big VP position and I haven't gotten it. And then the big thing with them is that they tell her is like, well, you're 53, you're old, all these people, these clients. I mean, listen, they're not, they don't care about the thing that you're selling. They care about who's selling it. And so it's like, that's why, you see that when they get like this new young fresh faced woman that comes into the company and is able to do that, and she takes over an account for her, the Halle Berry character. But that didn't even really play so much because it's like the guy, Tate Donovan, who's the big fish that she's trying to get in order to land the VP position. He seems into her. Like he seems like he really likes her. I mean, and he's kind of flirting with her a little bit. So it's just like I don't really see the age play a factor there. The only thing that really tanks that deal is the fact that you have his wife who walks in, and then when they're having the discussion about how she's going to cover it and all the insurance and everything like that, and then the wife walks in, and then it's like, oh, I'll talk to your daughter about this, like let's get her opinion on it. And he's like, oh, actually, that's my wife, that's my fiance. She's like, ugh, oh shit, sorry. So it's like, that completely deads the whole thing. So it seems like that's the only thing that really killed the whole kind of momentum with that thing going on. But yeah, I mean, like I said, everybody does a fine kind of job in it. I wouldn't be like, this is something that I'll really remember that heavily thinking back to it. I like I said, it's like okay, it's decent in there in that aspect. But yeah, not something like I'd go like, oh yeah, definitely I'll remember this, or I'll go check it out again when it's on streaming or something like that. And I think that's where it kind of fits mostly. I think that's where it's mainly good for, maybe if you watch it on streaming. So I would give it a highish streaming to lowish tune in, around that territory there, sort of around there. I'd give mostly like a stream it though. For me though, it just didn't tickle my fancy, as they say, for anybody like me. So, um, yeah, yeah, yeah. So that was my thoughts. Crime 101. Just kind of give it a plain stream it there for it. Yeah, but it's in theaters now if you want to check it out. People want to get their thoughts on it and see how they feel about it. But yeah, yeah, yeah.